Tisha Scott, one thing we can always count on is that she will find a way to deflect and point the finger at someone else instead of taking accountability. And that is exactly what has been happening this season. She wants to make it seem like she is being attacked by her castmates just so they can gain more fans. But if you really look at the episodes and the way things have played out, you can see that it's not about people ganging up on her. It's about her actions, her words, and the way she moves. Stay tuned because this is where things get messy. And I promise you, you're going to want to watch this video all the way until the end. Now, let's talk about the moment that really put Tisha in the hot seat. She has been saying that she didn't have much energy for Nell Fletcher, but now she's back and ready to pipe up. You know what that means, right? We're about to get the activated version of Tisha, the one we only see at reunions. Because during the season, she usually sits back quietly, but once it's reunion time, suddenly she's the loudest person in the room. And it makes people wonder, is she practicing in front of the mirror before the reunions? Because it always feels like she saves her voice for the reunion stage. The whole situation with Chris Fletcher also came back into play. Tisha wanted us to believe she wasn't all up in Chris's face, that she was just walking that way. But let's be real here. No matter what excuse she gives, she should not have approached Chris the way she did. Even if Nell told her it was fine, there's a respectful way to do things. And that was not it. That could have been the perfect moment for Tisha to take. Accountability to say, you know what? I shouldn't have walked up on him like that. I was in my feelings, and I let it get the best of me. But instead, she chose to blame Nell, saying she never should have listened to her. That's not accountability. That's deflection. That's saying, it's your fault I made a bad choice. And that's the problem with Tisha. Accountability has never been her strong point. What makes this even more obvious is the way she tried to claim that Nell doesn't really know her like that. She said the ladies have never seen her with that kind of energy before. But let's be honest here, the energy Tisha gives at reunions is pure performance. That's not the same as how she is in real life. So, to act like Nell or the other ladies have never seen that side of her is just another excuse. Viewers can see the difference, and it's not hard to tell when someone is performing. Then came the conversation about Marsau Scott and the cheating rumors. Once again, Tisha doubled down on her story. She said she has shared her highs and lows in her marriage, but she has never experienced infidelity. She wanted fans to believe that she's been transparent, but that production chose not to air everything she said. Now let's pause there. We all know how production works. If Tisha really gave them something juicy, they would have aired it. They don't cut out real tea that the audience would want to see. So the fact that none of it made it to the screen tells us everything. Whatever she said was vague, surface level, and not entertaining enough to make the cut. Tisha loves to say she's been honest, but in reality, she gives the bare minimum while acting like fans just don't appreciate it. And this is where things really start to heat up. Tisha said she doesn't understand why Nell has an issue with her because she doesn't even know her like that. But if you go back and watch their interactions, you can see it clearly. Every time they have had a conversation, Tisha has brought some sort of salty energy. She has always made Nell feel like she wasn't really welcome. That has nothing to do with Melody Shari or anyone else. That's strictly about how Tisha showed up in those conversations. But instead of owning that, Tisha turned it around and tried to blame Nell's friendships. She hinted that Nell's opinion about her came from the people Nell was cool with, which feels like a slick way of pointing at Melody without saying her name. She didn't outright say it, but the implication was there. She made it sound like Nell's thoughts about her didn't come from her own experiences, but from someone else's words. That's classic deflection again. And here's the reality. Nell's opinion of Tisha is based on how Tisha treats her, not what anyone else said. And let's not forget that coffee shop scene. Nell came in ready to address the situation, and Tisha tried to act like Nell was doing too much. But the truth is, Nell had every right to want to clear the air. If someone disrespected your husband the night before, would you just act all friendly and brush it off the next day? Of course not. So why would Nell? Tisha came in with fake high energy, trying to smooth things over without actually acknowledging what she had done. That doesn't work, especially with someone you're not even close with. Things got even more questionable when Tisha tried to clean up the whole Marsau situation again. She said she only brought up his name because she was asked for an example, not because she wanted to drag up the Atlanta trip. But anyone who's been watching knows that Tisha works overtime to clear Marsau's name, even when Marsau doesn't lift a finger to defend himself. When she asked him about the rumors, he paused, he played games, and yet she still took it upon herself to run defense for him. Meanwhile, he's out here acting like it's all a joke. That's why so many people side-eye her. She's always fighting harder for Marsau's reputation than he ever does. And then came the part that had a lot of people shaking their heads. Tisha threw shade at Chris Fletcher again, saying he lies when the cameras are up and warning Nell to be careful about what her husband says. That is crossing the line. How do you accuse another woman's husband of lying without any proof, and then act shocked when drama follows? That's the type of messy behavior that always comes back to bite her. If Chris ever decided to clap back, the situation could get way uglier than it already is. And let's not forget, these men all have dirt on each other. They may keep it quiet most of the time, but once one person starts talking, the others could easily expose more. And where there's smoke, there's usually fire. But instead of worrying about that, Tisha continues to distract. She finds ways to shift the conversation away from Marsau and onto other people. Notice how Marsau's behavior rarely stays in the spotlight for long? That's because Tisha always finds a way to turn the attention somewhere else. It's almost impressive, the way she does it. But the cracks in the foundation are showing, and fans are noticing it more and more. Toward the end, Tisha even said she feels like the ladies are plotting against her this season. But honestly, who exactly is plotting against her? It feels like she wants to believe the entire cast is out to get her, just so she can play the victim. But in reality, it looks more like she's overestimating her importance to the storyline. People aren't plotting against her. They're just reacting to her choices. And this is where you have to keep watching until the end, because this reunion is shaping up to be one where Tisha comes swinging at everyone. She's already made it clear she feels attacked, and when she feels cornered, she lashes out. Expect fireworks between her and Nell Fletcher, tension with Chris Fletcher, and maybe even more shade directed at Melody Shari, even though Melody has clearly moved on from her drama. The cast dynamics are shifting, and the more Tisha tries to paint herself as the victim, the more the truth comes out. So don't click away, because if history has taught us anything, it's that Tisha Scott saves her loudest moments for the reunion stage. She feels like she's under fire, and instead of looking in the mirror, she's going to throw shots left and right. The real question is, who will clap back the hardest, and will Marsau Scott finally